Fourth World Wilderness Congress that met in Colorado, and there were some very well-known figures, including David Rockefeller there.
Oh, our old friends.
And one of the speakers, and they were discussing the formation of the World Conservation Bank. Now this bank, briefly describe what it's all about. First of all, they're planning on collateralizing 30% of the Earth's land surface. And all of this being done under the mantle of protecting the wilderness areas of the world, the fragile ecologies of South America and the Amazon basin. Well, the World Conservation Bank, as planned, would contain trillions of dollars in capitalization, the collateral being derived from receipt of wilderness properties throughout the world. Now, where are they going to get these wilderness properties? There are a number of third world countries that are very, very deeply in debt, including, of course, Mexico, Brazil, Venezuela, Chile, Argentina, to name a few. The idea is the bankers go to these countries and say, we'll forgive your debt. We're going to forgive the interest payments. You're not going to have that hanging over any longer. We'll even make new loans so that you can develop your countries, and all you have to do to accomplish this is you sign over your wilderness areas, and we guarantee you that we're going to protect those wilderness areas. We're not going to let these multinational companies come in.
They are the multinational
Yeah, they are, and defile your wilderness areas, but you sign them over to us in perpetuity, of course, and then we'll forgive your debt. And forgiving their debt won't cost the bankers anything. They just make a few computer entries and change the accounts. So the world...
The third world folks, they buy in this, they think it's wonderful?
I guess that's still hanging. There are some of them in this article which... this appeared in a bulletin from the Committee to Restore the Constitution. Some of them are not buying it. But it seems to be, for some of them, the only way out. Because, as you know, the United States, with the Federal Reserve and the Department of the Treasury, are actually loaning the money to some of these countries now to pay the interest on their national debt. And it's like, for instance, you and I going down to our banker and say, I don't have the money this month to make my car payment. Would you loan me some more so I can make that payment? And, of course, the end of that road is plain. So that's what is happening. And for some of these countries, it appears it could be, or it might seem to them to be the only way out of the predicament that they're in from their tremendous debt burden.
Well, now, this is amazing, amazing thing, because what it really means is that these banks will be able to take over the land in these countries. The land will no longer belong to the countries, but to these big banks and multinational concerns. And when you add that to the debt for equity trade, which they agenda up to try to give the banks something for the money they've been loaning to the third world countries, meaning that the instead of paying off the loans, that the banks will be able to get stock positions, own stock in local companies. So in one way, in what you're talking about, they'll be able to come over and take over the land, and in this other way, the banks and all are coming in and taking over the local businesses. So they'll just be taking over these countries completely.
Well, and when you look at, we have a map here that would not show up well on camera, but it shows the areas that are being targeted as being the most likely to be involved in the designated wilderness lands. Most of them are, of course, in Africa. And it looks like Africa is going to be about half gone. South America, vast areas there as well. Of course, some big ones over in Asia, as well as...
They even have the Soviet Union targeted, don't they?
They have a number of areas inside the Soviet Union.
And there's barely a pimple in the United States.
Somewhere up there, it looks like in the northern Rocky Mountains, they're going to protect something.
What guarantees are they giving that they will indeed preserve this land as wilderness? That is, they won't use it for development or profit or whatever.
Because they're doing that in the Amazon.
Well, it occurs to me that the guarantee that they're going to give to these people is going to be the same guarantee that the central bank gave the United States, the Congress, that it was going to protect the U.S. dollar. When we passed the Federal Reserve Act, I say we, when they sneaked it through back in 1913, they also said that they were going to protect the American farmer. And by the way, you may have noticed that they saved up, what was it, 60,000 foreclosure notices that they didn't mail out until after the election was over, and then all of these go out. we're losing an average of 6,000 farms a month over the last few years. And currently, this is another point that we might consider, is that according to the Department of Agriculture figures that I have, currently about 25% of the food and fiber in this country is being produced by mega farms, super farms, corporate-owned farms, and that this figure is projected out about 10 years from now that 75% of the food and fiber in this country will be being produced by corporate farms rather than by family farms in this country. And it looks like much the same situation may befall South America, Africa, other parts of the world if they fall for this trick and turn over these areas.
Well, let's look at it from another aspect of another third world country, that being the largest third world country, the United States. If they can do this to the other countries of the world, we're talking about the biggest debtor nation in the world. If the United States can't pay its debt to the foreign countries and to the big banks, were they going to have this same type of thing let loose on the United States, take over great areas of the United States?
Do you suppose they might repossess America? Is that what we're seeing happening? I saw a recent survey that was done by the Los Angeles Times that 70% of the commercial real estate in downtown Los Angeles is owned by foreign interests. The figure in Houston, a little closer to home, is now approaching 40% of the commercial property. And what you have here is a situation where, because of our trade imbalance and because about 40% now of our national debt is being bought by foreign interest, what are these people going to do sitting here holding these dollars that, as they're actually holding them, day by day those dollars are losing their value, so they have no incentive to hold those dollars. They can no longer, of course, redeem them for gold or silver, so what are they going to do? Well, let's go buy some vast tracts of farmland. Let's buy American corporations. That's exactly what we're seeing. And I saw an interesting figure that if all of the foreign-owned farmland in the United States were lumped together right now, it would exceed the size of the state of Colorado. It's a pretty good-sized farm.
Amazing. What a strange, strange world we're going into up to the year 2000.